Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the Mage, the Ascension 20th anniversary rules by Onyx Path Publishing. This actual play is performed by adults and contains adult themes. Our World of Darkness is intended for adults. Listeners should pay close attention to all listed content warnings. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., which may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your storyteller. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways Podcast. I am your storyteller this evening, Michael Diamond. I am back with a couple of the cast of our Mage, the Ascension of Babylon series, because we have a very special sort of installment for you this evening, and that is we are going to do a seeking. And so at the top of the show, I would like to remind you that as this is the World of Darkness, it is a show meant for mature audiences, which means if you are traveling down the road in your car with your 6 or 8-year-old, this might not be exactly the show meant and aimed for them. So please exercise caution. Please look at any of the content warnings that may or may not be present within the episode's description and make your best judgment. Okay? And now we'll get to introductions, so I will turn to my right.
Hello, this is Jake, and I'm playing Oliver Devereaux, and today I'm going to get in touch with my inner self.
In a manner of speaking, yes. And then with Oliver.
This is Silas. I will be playing Suits, and I want nothing more than to help Oliver along on this journey. Nothing more.
Of course not. Okay, so we're going to raise the curtain tonight in essentially a space out of time and time frame. This could happen or be happening at anywhere along our story timeline. But in effect, a couple of things will have already happened. One, and probably most importantly, is the events surrounding the Night of the Sphere have already taken place. So this will happen post-Sphere and likely post the fog thereafter. And so perhaps we find ourselves within the library of John Crescent. Perhaps Oliver is sitting in a very comfy armchair in one of the many rooms doing research on different beings, umbral spirits, as John has directed him to do with the events of the sphere and the things that have been noticed. And during that process, you're sitting in this armchair going through a series of tomes at the desk in front of you. And I guess the best way to put this would be is you come to a mental conundrum. You sort of stop reading, stop researching, stop everything, because something comes to the forefront in your mind. And I'm wondering, Oliver, if you can tell us what that is. Because after all, you're the one seeking, so you have the question. What is the question, the thing that Oliver is trying to understand?
I don't know if I have the strength to handle what's going on, because I'm completely out of my depth here.
Okay. So that's an admission, Suits, that you hear and sort of it resonates with you, right? It is the call that is being made. This is a little different than other questions or conundrums that Oliver has presented, in that the concern is something, well, for lack of a better term, we'll just say primordial. It is something that is deep within Oliver, where he feels like he lacks something. And you get the feeling that you know what he's talking about, but you may want to inquire a little deeper.
Well, Oliver, that does sound like a question we can address. What exactly do you not have the strength to do?
Well, so far, in all this magic I have, I've managed to sense a few things. For the most part, that's all that's happened. But this is a spirit from another realm who is breaking through into our world and having an impact on the weather. I don't think that I am prepared to be handling a situation like this.
We may not find out until it happens. Are you willing to take that risk?
Well, what's life without a little risk?
It's sounding more like Oliver I've known in the past. So, tell me, what are you doing with the power you currently have?
Like I say, I'm really just watching electricity flow through wires or feeling the odds of a card being turned up. I'm not doing anything more than parlor tricks.
Parlor tricks, they can be helpful, but I agree. You're not using the power you have to its fullest potential. Show me. You seem to have an affinity for electricity. Gather the energy from the room. Show me electricity.
Okay, I will concentrate, and let's see. I gotta find. I think it was a poker chip.
Okay. So how would you utilize that to gather the energy?
I would rub it with my hands, kind of generate almost a current of energy, and then call out to the electricity.
Okay. So I like the idea of you calling out to the ambient electricity if you generate it. What would you say to it? Like what, when you think about invoking, right? And you've read now probably a few pages of Hermetic history at this point, and you can get a sense of the things that they would call and invoke. If you were going to speak to Ars Essentia, as you would term it as a Hermetic, the essential art of forces, what would you say to it?
Right, I'll reach out with my other hand, close my eyes, and say, I invoke the energy to my hand. I call on you. Come to me.
Okay, it's a fairly given the place that you're in, it is a effect which is coincidental because of the type of location that you're at. So I'm going to have you roll your Arete, and it's going to be highest sphere +3, as it's a coincidental effect, and so 5s are better. You may, of course, spend willpower if you'd like.
I had 1 success.
Okay. Yeah, you rub the poker chip together and you get the feeling of the static electricity around your fingers. And you focus and you feel the invocation portion come, and you invoke it, and there is a scattering of static electricity that grows, and from a nearby wall sconce, a blue-white bolt of energy crackles for a few moments and lands on the poker chip.
Ha! What do you think about that, Suits?
I think that's better than what I've seen so far. It's... Do you feel the power?
Yeah, I can feel the power coursing through me.
That's what I was hoping to hear. It's... Power, well... Power is power. Some of us enjoy it on its own, some of us use it for things. I appreciate that you're searching for more power, more ability to do things. It's the ultimate goal for the journey. Now, I can't speak to what Ascension is. That's our goal. But there's no rules on it. My understanding is you gather as much power as you can, and you take it. How does that sound to you?
That does sound like how power is gained, just by taking it.
I know we're in a hall of books here. Knowledge has its value. But I believe there are many phrases for it. But when it comes down to brass tacks, you're going to need the power. You're going to need the juice to follow through. Now, we're in agreement. You wish to move forward. What are you going to leave behind?
Leave behind?
Power is gained, but not without sacrifice. put it more plainly, it's probably going to hurt. Doesn't necessarily have to be physical pain, but
kind of a pound of flesh thing.
Sometimes literally, most times figuratively. But yes, this may be you leave a part of yourself behind. You may just make a major change about yourself. Maybe you lean into your baser instincts. But one way or the other, something will change, and it's generally going to be something you would consider a price.
Well, I think it's time for me to do something about my other issue, the legal issue. I have to take care of that before it takes care of me.
Dodging the authorities is definitely not a good look for you. It would uncomplicate things. How do you plan to take care of this issue?
I need to figure out who my real enemy is and confront them.
Confrontations. We're moving in the right direction. Do you know who your enemy is at this point?
I don't, so I need to find out.
Well, I am much less versed in the ways of this world than I am others. I believe that you're going to put in the efforts to make this happen. I'll be here if you don't.
Always watching over me.
I may not always voice my opinions, but yes, always watching.
Well, I will have to find somebody to help me peel off the layers that's hiding them.
I think your newfound compatriots have some skills in that area. I don't fully hear all of your conversations. That's beyond me for now. But I imagine they'll be useful going forward.
Indeed.
Oliver, the books in front of you, since you last touched them, the covers have changed. The titles are different now. The three that you had arrayed in front of you now, the one on the left says The College Years. The one in the middle says Moving West. And the one on the right says Don't Open This.
Well, I have to open that one.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to have you do. I'd like you, as you open it, to make a willpower roll for me. Standard mage difficulty of 7.
Remind me again, when I do willpower, do I do the willpower I currently have or my base willpower?
Yeah, so when we call for willpower roll, it's always total willpower. So doesn't matter how much you spent.
Okay. That's 4 successes.
Okay. You feel the room change. Suits, you'd feel this too. Do you feel like you're inside an interrogation room? Like all of a sudden the walls change, the wall coloring changes. There's a flat black table in front of you, conference-ish size. There's multiple chairs on the other side. You are sitting exactly where you were. On the other side of you, there are 3 men in what look like FBI uniforms. And see, they have badges, nameplates. And the room, which was at one point a beautiful, wide-ranging library, has shrunk to a stifling 10 by 15. There's a single door which exits this room. There is a large mirror that takes up the left half of the wall. And there is a single white, large overhead light that sits over the table.
Are the men just staring at me?
They are.
What can I do for you?
The man in the middle speaks first. His tone is measured, even, strong, almost a little, well, we'll say a little bereft of any tenor or tonal changes. He says, "You can begin by telling us who you are." Because I don't think you've been very truthful.
You have my name. I haven't lied to you about my name.
Really? He reaches under the table and produces a green envelope, opens it up. Who is Jackson Davidson? He begins placing papers on the desk. You see yourself at various ages, 8, 13, just before you get out of high school, a picture of you in college. I find it all very strange. Perhaps you can tell me who these people are? Jackson?
Well, I certainly don't know who Jackson is.
Do you look over the information you're provided?
Yeah.
So it lines up with many of the touchstones in your life, the experience in your 8, with family. This picture was taken probably at a public park, likely from a long distance away. You can see some of the things that probably were present at that type of family gathering. The one you were 12 is a picture of you sort of on a playground, probably outside of a school. The picture of you near the end of college, near the end of high school, gets your high school hair perfect. That is, unfortunately. It also sees you in the red jacket, roughly for the first time. And the one at college is a picture of you, well, doing some creative mathematics, we'll just put it that way. You know all of these scenes, roughly speaking. The one when you're younger is a little fuzzier, but you know all these places. They just don't have the name right.
First of all, is the FBI in the business of taking pictures of children?
We're in the business of doing whatever we need to do, Jackson.
Well, I mean, I don't know why you would have a picture of this fine young man here. At what point would you have somebody when would you be taking pictures of somebody of that age?
When we detected that they might be deviating from the accepted reality. It all starts very young, you understand. We have to be careful and watch. It's what we do.
Well, I think you have me confused with somebody else because I am not this Jackson Richardson or whatever his name was.
Davidson, it's right there on the paper.
Oh, right. So it is.
Yes. And you are a deviant, aren't you?
Well, I don't think I would say something like that. I'm no more deviant than any other person. I mean, sure, I have a few kinks, but you know.
The man to the right of the center speaks up for the first time. I'm not speaking about your sexual proclivities. I'm speaking about your need to change what is accepted.
What, like some kind of revolutionary or something?
The man on the left replies to you, well, but you are. You're absolutely a revolutionary. You have signed up with those revolutionaries, other reality deviants. And what we have here is an opportunity for you to accept who you are and put away those things, these childish cards, the poker chips.
But that's who I am.
Is it? Do you know who you are? Would you be here if you did?
Well, I'm certainly not Jackson Davidson.
All right, Jake, I would like Oliver to roll Arate for me. Contested.
That is no successes.
Okay. You have a terrifying feeling just for a moment. You search for that assuredness that all of us have, or a large majority of us have, knowing who we are. You go to that space, the space where Oliver Devereaux resides. And for a moment, or maybe two, you can't find him. As soon as you feel a little detached from Oliver. This is a complex process, but you'll have to see what happens.
So I'll dip into my self-confidence to reassure me that I am who I say I am.
Okay, self-confidence, the merit.
Yes.
Self-confidence, when you spend willpower for automatic successes, you do not actually lose it unless the auto success is the only one garnered in the roll. Okay, so I'm happy to mush that a little bit. So here's what I'll do. I'll allow you a willpower roll to recover your sense of self. You're not allowed to spend willpower on automatic rolls, but the only reason you're going to get this roll is because you have the self-confident merit.
That's 3 successes.
You come roaring back mentally. The confusion that was sown by this series of documents, pictures, and other information is shattered in front of you. And you get that feeling of being you again. You also get the intense understanding that the images in front of you, these men, are a threat to you. A threat to your psyche, your self-image.
I'm going to need you to fight through this one, Oliver. I'm going to be very selfish, as my life depends on it.
Then I need to do something about these 3 men.
I can make no promises about your results, but I can see no finer time to unleash a little power.
Yes. Mike, I'm going to use forces to arc electricity from the lights.
Okay. You're going to use the light overhead to amplify the forces already present in the room?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to spend a willpower.
Happy to let you do so. So go ahead and give me a RT roll.
Oh, hey, that's 3 altogether.
Okay. You feel the room work very hard to not let you do this. Like when you go to invoke forces and you reach out to the electricity in the room and you call it down to the table to encompass these men, to shatter their bodies, to electrify them, you feel the room resist you. The space here, the order that has been constructed around you, and you completely rip through it. So the room's counter magic had 0 successes. All 3 of your successes apply, and with each one a separate different arc of electricity electrifies the images in front of you, and you bear down again and again, feeling that coursing power through your body. And in doing so, each one of these images becomes crisp and burnt, and they flake into nothingness, as does the room and your senses of it.
Wow, that was amazing.
I'd like you to remember this feeling going forward.
Oh, I'll always remember this feeling.
You feel a surge of confidence in yourself. Sort of wells up from within your chest, and you get a sense of what it means to harness the power of forces. What is Oliver's demeanor?
Bon vivant.
Bon vivant. Okay, so I'm going to challenge you as the player to change Oliver's demeanor.
Okay.
He has gone through a radically different experience. He has grown as a magus, and I would like you to consider what way that might change him moving forward.
Okay. All right. I'm going to have to ruminate on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That is something you do not have to pick right now, because obviously it will come off as different. And that is the key to a seeking, is that you must change as a person in some shape or form. And so because you've had this revelation about yourself, about what you can do, about really who you are at your core, it should change how other people perceive Oliver.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get to that. You can spend your experience now, and I award you an additional dot of Arete. May Hermes have mercy on your soul. And I think, too, is fitting for you, Suits. This moment of self-realization, you feel yourself get stronger. The gateway to phenomenal cosmic power opens up a little bit more. And if no one's looking, I have a feeling Suits might be rubbing their hands together a little bit.
I would not doubt that at all.
Okay. I'm happy to leave the seeking here. So I hope you all enjoyed this little vignette of getting to know Oliver Devereaux a little bit more. I want to thank Jake and obviously Silas for joining me in this portion of the story. And as we go along in our Mage, the Ascension story, we're going to get a chance to look at a couple of different occasions when mages will seek to grow, and we'll challenge them and what they believe and see how they respond. So thank you and good night.